World War II demanded rockets of every type, from shoulder-fired anti-tank launchers to massed vehicle-mounted salvo systems. We begin with infantry anti-tank rocket launchers. Panzerfaust. The Panzerfaust was a single-use German anti-tank launcher designed for close-range combat. Simple and lightweight, it required minimal training, allowing widespread issue to infantry and militia units. Fired from the shoulder, it delivered a powerful shape charge capable of penetrating heavy armor. Soldiers used it from ambush positions, especially in urban fighting. Its effectiveness forced tank crews to fear infantry at close distances, changing late-war battlefield dynamics. Panzerschreck, RPzB 54. The Panzerschreck was a larger, reusable German anti-tank launcher with a protective shield for the operator. Firing a high-explosive rocket, it had longer range and greater penetration than the Panzerfaust. Crews usually worked in pairs, one aiming and firing while the other reloaded. Though heavy and cumbersome, it allowed infantry to engage enemy armor safely from a distance, making it a fearsome threat against Allied tanks in urban and open-field combat. Bazooka M1. The Bazooka M1 introduced portable rocket firepower to U.S. infantry. Its 2.36-inch rockets could penetrate light and medium German armor, giving soldiers a new anti-tank capability. Crews operated in pairs, taking cover while aiming and reloading. Light and maneuverable, it allowed rapid repositioning in combat. Deployed in North Africa, Italy, and Europe, the M1 proved the effectiveness of shoulder-fired rockets and became the foundation for later, more powerful U.S. anti-tank launchers. Bazooka M9/M9A1. The Bazooka M9 and M9A1 upgraded the original design with larger rockets capable of penetrating heavier German armor. Lighter and more reliable, it maintained portability for infantry units. Crews fired from cover, working in pairs to aim and reload under enemy fire. Widely deployed in late-war Europe and the Pacific, it offered consistent anti-armor performance. The M9 series combined mobility, improved penetration, and ease of use, solidifying the bazooka's role as a standard U.S. infantry weapon against tanks. PIAT. The PIAT was a British infantry weapon using a spigot mortar system instead of a rocket motor. It launched a shape charge bomb without backblast, allowing soldiers to fire from enclosed positions. Cocking the weapon required physical strength, and recoil was heavy. Crews relied on ambush tactics, engaging tanks at close range. Despite limited range, the PIAT proved effective in urban combat and defensive fighting across Europe. Type 4 rocket launcher. The Type 4 rocket launcher was Japan's attempt to counter Allied armor during the later stages of the war. Influenced by captured American bazookas, it fired a shape-charge rocket capable of penetrating light and medium tanks. Production numbers were limited, restricting battlefield impact. Crews employed ambush tactics from concealed jungle or defensive positions. Though rarely encountered, it reflected Japan's late recognition of portable infantry anti-tank rocket warfare. Continuing with multi-rocket and area saturation launchers. Nebelwerfer. The Nebelwerfer was a German rocket launcher designed to saturate wide areas with explosive fire. Originally developed for smoke missions, it evolved into a high-explosive weapon. Its rockets produced a distinctive howling sound, alerting troops moments before impact. Crews fired salvos rapidly, then relocated to avoid counter-battery fire. Used on multiple fronts, it disrupted enemy formations and morale before ground assaults began. Katyusha, BM-13. The Katyusha was a Soviet mobile multiple rocket launcher mounted on trucks for rapid deployment. It fired salvos that covered wide areas, prioritizing volume over precision. Crews launched rockets quickly and then moved to avoid counterfire. The sudden roar and simultaneous impacts caused significant psychological shock among enemy troops. Though individual rockets were inaccurate, their massed fire supported large-scale offensives, providing artillery-like suppression across the Eastern Front. Land Mattress. The Land Mattress was a British rocket launcher designed for short-range area bombardment. It fired salvos of spin-stabilized rockets from a simple frame emphasizing saturation rather than accuracy. Deployed in late war operations in Northwest Europe, it supported infantry assaults and river crossings. Crews prepared positions quickly, fired concentrated barrages, then displaced to avoid retaliation. Despite its basic construction, it delivered effective suppressive fire against enemy defenses. T-34 Calliope. The T-34 Calliope mounted a bank of rockets above the turret of an American Sherman tank. Designed to deliver rapid area saturation, it combined armored protection with psychological impact. Crews could fire large salvos to suppress enemy positions before infantry advances. While accuracy was limited, the volume of fire compensated. Used in Europe, the Calliope added shock effect to armored assaults, disrupting defenses and morale simultaneously. Wurfrahmen 40. The Wurfrahmen 40 consisted of heavy rocket frames mounted on half-tracks or trucks, designed for close-range area bombardment. It fired large explosive rockets originally developed for demolition and shock effect. Crews launched volleys against buildings, troop concentrations, and defensive positions, often in urban combat. Though slow to reload and limited in range, its destructive power and psychological impact made it a feared weapon during assaults. Moving on to vehicle-mounted and experimental rocket launchers. T-40 Whizbang. The T-40 Whizbang mounted a battery of 7.2-inch rockets on an M4 Sherman tank for direct-fire assault. Designed to support infantry, it delivered a powerful salvo against bunkers, fortifications, and defensive positions. Crews aimed from the safety of the armored tank, firing volleys that combined explosive shock with psychological impact. Though limited in accuracy, its concentrated firepower helped suppress enemy defenses, allowing troops to advance under heavy opposition during late war operations in Europe. Nebelwerfer half-track. The Nebelwerfer half-track mounted rocket launchers on armored half-tracks to improve mobility and survivability. This configuration allowed crews to deploy, fire salvos, and relocate quickly to avoid counter-battery fire. Used primarily for area suppression, it combined the shock effect of rockets with mechanized movement. Crews operated under time pressure, coordinating rapid launches before displacement. Though limited in number, it reflected Germany's effort to adapt rocket artillery to fast-moving battlefield conditions. Katyusha on ZIS-6. The Katyusha mounted on the ZIS-6 truck improved mobility and load capacity for Soviet rocket artillery units. Its robust chassis allowed launchers to operate across rough terrain while carrying heavier rocket racks. Crews fired massed salvos, then relocated immediately to avoid enemy counterfire. The system emphasized speed, surprise, and overwhelming volume rather than accuracy. Used extensively on the Eastern Front, it supported large offensives by saturating enemy positions and disrupting command and movement. Reke-10 Panzerwagen. The Reke-10 Panzerwagen was a German experimental vehicle designed to mount anti-tank rockets on an armored chassis. Intended to combine protection with rocket firepower, it aimed to ambush enemy armor from concealed positions. Development remained limited, and it saw little to no combat use. Crews trained for rapid firing and withdrawal, reflecting late-war German attempts to counter Allied tanks through innovation rather than mass production.